Hello, I'm Melissa.
Hello, my name's also Melissa, but yeah, we're both named Melissa. Okay.
And we both spell it right.
Yep.
This feels important.
um, but yeah, we're not gonna be Melissa here in this
No.
space. So I've called her Babs for like at least 10 years, probably more at this point.
I think more. Yeah, but
More.
long enough that it's a thing.
Yeah.
And my son calls you Aunt Goose. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, you had the nickname Goose before then, but
Yeah.
we added
Somewhat.
the Aunt.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Why do we know each other though?
why nobody knows why.
No.
We both moved in childhood.
Yeah.
And ended up in the same place at some point in our lives. I think I moved to that town when I was 12.
Yeah, and I was definitely 13. Yeah.
But you were in the area. I wasn't even kind of in the area.
Yes, you moved from a different state. I was just a few towns over, so
I did.
Yeah.
And you were afraid of me.
You were spooky.
It was a dark time. But thankfully we were at least in the same friend group.
Right. Yes.
And then grew into I don't know if I remember what our breakthrough was.
I couldn't possibly tell you.
I think
I just know that all of a sudden I was coming over to your house all the time.
I think that might have stemmed from the same friend group too, though.
I don't know.
Either way,
I don't know anything. I don't know anything.
So for quite some time, we did live in that same small Midwest town.
Yes.
For eons, it felt like.
Yes.
And a few times
in the
U.S.
Together, in case you didn't know,
in the U.S. we were roommates a couple of times.
Yeah.
A few times.
Yeah.
Throughout young adulthood.
Yeah.
As people come and go in life.
Yeah.
But now
we were roommates.
Why do you say that so aggressive?
There was a vibe.
I hated her cat. Okay, it was a thing.
Yes,
I still hate her. Anyway,
that is that's fair.
She's my nemesis.
Yeah, which is a great thing that I love that you just get to tell random people in your life sometimes, or random.
It's my favorite thing to tell people.
It's
my nemesis is a cat.
Yes,
which is even funnier because we've moved away from each other several times over. In fact,
oh yeah, we're so far away from each other now.
So far away from each other.
You haven't seen this cat for a well. No, you did see the cat at my graduation. So yeah, okay.
I saw her.
Yes,
she remembers hating me as well. It's mutual. Just for the record, for everybody, it's not a one-sided hatred.
It's fine.
It's a respectful hatred, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly. And actually, it's this is. I feel like I'm jumping into things here, but this is the only time that we will talk to all of you. So I feel like this is also an appropriate time to mention. You guys won't know this and you won't hear the other versions, but this is the third version of this intro episode that we are doing. And Absolutely. I have lived somewhere different each time we recorded it.
Which is astounding. I can't imagine.
Yeah. General background information. This seems like a good segue to explain this as well. We are both married now, and that is a big part of why we moved, and why we continue to move, is that both of us married dudes in the military. Or yours was already in, mine joined.
Right. Which is an important distinction, really.
It is a very important distinction. Anybody that's been in that situation understands the distinction.
Yeah.
But because of that, neither of us were really big phone people.
Gosh, I hated it. I
think you still hate it, and you make exceptions.
That is very true. That is okay. You're very you got me. I hate talking on the phone. I have hated it, and anyone who might be of an older generation might be like, "Oh, that's just because you guys were raised on texting." No. I can guarantee you that's not why. I
We were
had
not.
a phone that had a cord and it was stuck on the wall, okay? And you had to pay for long distance. I need you to understand that,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, we were the generation of young people who texted after 9 or called after 9. We had
Yes.
like 100 texts. Like it's not the case. Um, we have sensitive ears. Perhaps that's the
I think
problem.
that's what it is. I think I just there's a point, even, like talking to you, or talking to husband when he's deployed, or anything,
Mhm.
anything like that, where I'm on the phone for a
Long
long
periods of
amount of
time.
time.
Yes.
I just get to a point where I'm like, I have to hang up, or I'm gonna yell at this person for no reason.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
Yeah,
It's a very
and
triggering sensation.
I don't want to do that, in
Because
general.
I hate speakerphone, and I think that's going to be a lot of people's suggestion is like, well, I hate speakerphone.
Mm.
It's echoey. I don't like the sound of speakerphone. But again, the physical pain
Of holding
of
or having
holding. Oh
earbuds
yes,
or
yes,
headphones. I know those ones that you're
yes.
wearing right now are pinching you. Like,
They
it's not.
are.
It's
They
too
are.
much. It's just too much. So,
I'm
um,
going to experiment out of all kinds of different headphones. This is my excuse and justification, I think. But because we um,
moved away from
do
each
talk
other,
so excessively on the
and
phone,
we. Oh yeah, yeah.
um, just in general, I am a gigantic history buff, and you are too. So I'm going to say this collectively for us both. We enjoy stories in general, um,
Yes.
and so usually,
The way you said that made it sound like I'm a history buff, and I'm not.
right? No,
I I've been
but
so
you're like
bad
a
at.
book person.
I'm absolutely a book person.
Right, you're a
Yeah.
story person.
I'm a story person,
You're
and
not a
when
history
it's
person, but
told to me in that format, I think I'm it's a lot better.
yes. Yes,
My
I actually
retention goes
and
way up.
what a beautiful segue into explaining why this naturally came to be. I think a lot of people have asked me like why or how we came up with this idea, and the easiest explanation I can give is because it's what we were already doing.
100%, yes.
Because
That's exactly
I
how the conversation went. Was
yeah,
you know
I think I told you a story and I was like
yes,
this would be a wonderful podcast. I
yeah,
just naturally gravitate towards history stories. And I vividly remember this conversation. This might have been our breakthrough actually, because it's been this way for a very long time for me, loving like sharing the stories that I find.
yes,
And I remember young high school, it had to be ninth or 10th grade, you telling me about how like I had to have told a story and you being like I don't like history, I don't engage with history, but I just did.
yes, yes. I This is not bragging. This is just a sad fact of the American public school system. History was the only class I ever had to try in.
Mm-hmm.
That's is what I
Mm-hmm.
feel like. So,
Mm-hmm.
where I sat there and I'm like, how am I going to pass this, or how
Mm-hmm.
am I going to get my grades up, or because it wasn't
Right.
necessarily passing that I was concerned with, because I think I always knew how to
Yeah.
fudge through it enough, but
Right.
I I couldn't. I just couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't keep that stuff in my head for some reason. It's just not. It wasn't. And then yeah, but every time we talked about something, and every time we do talk about something, it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is real life, and this is interesting. These are just people that did stuff.
that
but
did
a
stuff.
long time ago, maybe. So,
Or animals that did stuff. I also struggled in history class, but for a very different reason. And it was because I was already so passionate about it that I was like, why are you doing this way? And why are you I do put things in date references frequently, but it's because I like knowing the order and where they tie together and what events are happening simultaneously.
mm-hmm.
So I like to think that I don't overload the dates unless it's genuinely important.
Right.
um
And I think
with
when you do tell me dates, you're like your next the next thing out of your mouth is like, so in this like context of
in
history,
this context.
this is what else was happening during that time, or like something like
Right.
that, so that even if that number doesn't stick in my brain, because it most certainly almost certainly
Right.
will not,
Right.
um that that event, I know about that event, and I know
Right.
that was happening at the same time, so it's great.
And you know what happens next or what happened before,
Mm-hmm.
or which is what I felt like always, like I hated the test questions that were like, what day did this happen? And it's
Oh,
like, I don't care. I don't
those
care. I say the
were
dates a
what killed
lot,
my
but they are
grades. That's
written down or they are Googled. But if you ask me to put it in order or what event led to the next,
mm-hmm.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. With all of that in mind, a lot of this started with history. A lot of our connection, I won't say come from me telling you history stories. That's too simplistic. But for
Way
this
too, yeah.
case, the
Yeah.
idea of storytelling started a lot with the history stories, but there are also a lot of other facts. A lot of both of us really enjoyed a lot of aspects of school, but also independent learning. Both of us read a ton. Both of us still read a ton. And
Yeah.
so the premise of the podcast, as we were developing what we wanted to talk about, was how I don't think we added anything. We just found a way to put a name to what we were already doing.
Right, like sort of categorize
Yeah.
the subjects that we were already covering in our
Right.
conversations.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which happens to be school subjects.
Yeah.
If school was entertaining.
If
So the
school
history,
was
the
better.
sciences. If school was more fun and more about
Learning?
learning to enjoy.
Yes. Learning to enjoy learning. I
Yes.
think is so, yeah. Uh yeah. But yeah,
Yes.
we both really love reading and learning independently. Like that's a
We
thing.
just do it so naturally too. Like it sounds like
Yes.
such an effort, but it's a problem for me. Like it's a like a twitch. Like if I hear something and I'm like, that doesn't make sense or I need more, it's immediate. Like
Yeah. I think for me it's a lot. Most of the time it's a lot less that and more like, I'm gonna put that on a list to look up later kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's probably more immediate.
Yeah. 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 Which is
Yeah.
why most of our episodes, I think, are gonna be you telling me something.
Mhm.
Because again, that's how it already was happening.
Yes. Do you remember that part in National Treasure where Riley comes in and he's like knows something? And then he's like, "Oh, hold on, like I got to soak this in. Like this must be
Yeah.
like I feel like that's and I'd be really excited to hear about it. Like I feel like that's how we are when you're like, "Do you know this?" And I was like, "No, but you better tell me right now."
Yes.
Like
Because it's all I do, and I think that's what's beautiful about our conversations is that when it is something that you hadn't heard,
Mhm.
but I come in with it as be like, oh, did you
Mhm.
know that this, it's something that had you heard about it, you would be telling me about it instead.
Oh yeah.
This is the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there
And
aren't
so,
too many things that I don't know that there's any that are I won't say I have to research everything the second that I hear about it. Like I'm
mhm.
not a complete a complete like I'm going to stop my life to research this.
Right.
But
Right.
but things grab me from anywhere. Like actually one of our episodes was based on somebody's like fun fact on their whiteboard that I walked by in the office. Um
Yeah.
some come from my fears. um
Yeah.
I just I just very very well rounded.
Yeah. And learning can come from anywhere, children.
From anywhere. Um talk about most of your experience where your learning comes from.
Okay. Like my life, you mean?
Your, give me your life story.
Righty. Well,
I could probably tell you your life story. I'm sorry, that's too much.
So yeah,
I could tell you 20 years of your life story.
for sure. Yes, we are. No, almost, right? We're
Pretty darn close.
pretty darn close. All right. I'm not going to hyperventilate about that right now. Okay.
Save it for later.
We'll save that one for a special time. But yeah, okay. So I grew up born and raised in the same Midwest state my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Until I married a military person and moved out of that state. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
so far away from that state. I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
But
Wait, was that your first move out of state?
that, well, besides like that little bit where I tried to go to college, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
But it was a big one.
I just lived there. Yeah, it was huge.
So you're more on the coast now.
I am on the coast. I'm on the easterly coast. Let's just say
I'm
that,
on the
yeah.
Easter coast.
The Easter coast. No,
That's not right.
Okay, but yeah, I when I was little, like a wee lass, I was homeschooled. Which is where I think probably my independent learning spirit comes from.
Yeah.
Where it took root.
Took a root.
And I was homeschooled until we moved to the town where Babs had just moved to, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I started attending public school. So
and somebody scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. There's something out of me. But yeah, I did that. I grew up with a lot of siblings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had dogs. I have Pepper the cat.
You have the cat.
I have the cat. And a husband called Peter.
Called Peter.
And I mix up their names because they're so similar. So if I'm like
They are very
yell at Pepper, sometimes I'll call her Peter and vice versa. It's not
Peter.
They don't like it. I'll just
No, I'm sure. I think Pepper probably hates it more than Peter does. I have a feeling.
Could be.
But now you have a master's degree.
I do. I have my master's degree in library and information science, and that was a long time getting that, and I did it. So,
you did it.
You did it. So yeah, and again, because of that whole homeschooling, independent learning love, I was always into libraries, loved libraries. I volunteered at my local library as soon as I possibly could, and it was always something that I wanted to be when I grew up, you know.
Whenever that happens,
I got the degree. So
you do. You might have to now.
Yeah. Nah. Don't be silly. But yeah, I've worked as a waitress, and I've worked as a CNA in a few nursing homes. And I worked in a library as well.
In the library. She lived there too.
Yeah. I lived there. I worked there. I am there.
I am there
So-
in my mind
in
every
my
second.
mind always. And yeah, I really love reading, obviously. And as I for a long time, and this is, I think, goes back to the hating phone calls thing, could not do
Yeah.
audiobooks. Now somehow I don't want to yell at the audiobook if
I don't
I'm
want to
listening
yell.
to them talk for an hour. It's just great.
It's for
So
plot reasons now.
I don't know what the difference is, but it's fine. And
Yeah.
I can do other hobbies while I'm listening to a book,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really great. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to knit.
I like to knit.
I like to knit and bake and
uh,
do all those silly things. But um yeah.
and your library background, I'll share more of my background in a second too, but I think this is a good point to interject and say we are not going to list resources for everything, and we will be very
Right.
realistic in the, I read some different accounts of this, so this
Absolutely.
part might not be 100% accurate, whatever it may be, but just know that both of us, with the backgrounds that we have, that we do genuine research.
We really do go into this with our critical thinking skills on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we use our big brains to ask the big
Our
questions.
big brains.
um,
um
Including whether we might have some bias toward another thing, and that's
oh yes,
important.
I will openly acknowledge,
Oh yeah.
like, I hate all cats, but I know that it's because of Pepper.
Exactly.
And I've said that actually to other cats that I've met. I've been like, it's not you, it's me.
Yep.
But
It's important. It's important that you've told them. I love that you've told them that.
it feels important.
Yeah.
I don't want to let her ruin the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I need them to know that it's a me issue.
That's
But
good. Tell me about
um
you.
tell me about you. Well, you already know, but I'll tell
Stranger.
again. So I actually also married somebody who joined the military briefly. Not briefly, that discounts waste. So we've been stationed mostly in the Midwest states. We met in a Midwest town. You and I, Aunt Goose, and I've kind of stayed Midwest, a few different states, but stayed Midwest. Um, Even before that, though, I moved from a different state to where we met.
Mhm.
Um, I have an older sister and a younger brother, so middle children unite. Um, you kind of are a middle child, so I'll let you
I'm
like,
in a
but
weird
you
place.
are in a weird spot. Weird spot. I'm gonna share context just in the sense of there's a combination of um, steps and halves, and
Yes.
so I do feel like you have a combination of oldest and middle
I absolutely think I do.
for
I
sure,
yeah. I
for sure.
know I have the oldest child thing, and
Oh,
it's just becoming more apparent the
1000%.
older I get. I'm like, why
I
am I
knew
like
the
this?
whole
Oh, that's why
time.
I'm like this.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I like I said, just more in general. I'm more of a history, so a lot of my reading, I think I do. I know that you read nonfiction, but I think I read more
Yes.
nonfiction.
Definitely.
Um, I am a nurse. I have been in healthcare since I was very young. Started in CNA as well. Did you get your CNA after mine,
After, yeah.
or were we like right at the same time?
No, it was after.
Um, Anyway, so I had several years of CNA and then EMT and volunteer firefighter and every level of nursing since then. So I was in college for 12 years for various things. I do have a few. I have an associate degree in general studies because they had to give me something. That was about the same time that I did finally decide on nursing school. I wavered on quite a few different paths. I do have, and then went back for more after my
Mm-hmm.
BSN. Um,
So
So I
much
do
more.
have some computer background, and just I don't know. Just in general, I think even when I'm not in school, I'm just researching things forever, which is why we're here.
Yep.
I do have a being of the husband variety in my household, as well as a toddler child, which is where the aunt was added to your Aunt Gooseness.
Mhm.
I have 2 dogs because Pepper ruined me forever on cats.
But you didn't really
They
have
are
a cat
also
before that either.
no, but I feel like I was more open to the idea.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Okay.
I have in the time, so it has been 13 years since Pepper and I lived together. Because
Yeah, probably.
terrible things never
No.
die. Um,
Yeah.
no, I think so.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't
she old.
presently know how old I am, so.
She old. But anyway, so I think I might be coming out of this is a lot of talk about my cat journey, but anyway, with all of this in mind, so that's just like a basis about us and kind of where our perspective comes from, and kind of the topics that we're looking at and those kinds of things. With all of that being said, there a lot of the episodes. It's not just us either direction telling the story. We have further thoughts and questions and conversations, which again was what was already happening.
Mhm.
It was a very natural transition, I think. Aside from this intro episode, there's a reason we had to do this one 3 times. But with all of that in mind, we do want to let you guys know. I guess preemptively, I'll just say thank you, because we are never talking to you again.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to all of the nonsense.
All of the nonsense. The structure of this
Or
podcast
any of the
is
nonsense is
all of the nonsense. The structure of this podcast genuinely is continuing the phone call conversations that we already have, which
Yep.
means we are not acknowledging you as an audience.
You're just eavesdropping
You are
every time.
eavesdropping. We are. Is it fourth wall in just audio? Somebody let me know.
I'm
But
gonna say it's the fourth wall.
we will very, very, very rarely break the fourth wall from here on out.
Mhm.
Just because again, this is how we were already doing these conversations, and it has been fun for us, and that's what led to the idea of doing this podcast anyway. And I think it is for fun for both of us,
Yeah.
so it keeps it fun, I think,
Which
to
is
continue it.
much more important than
Yes.
than starting a podcast.
Yes,
Really,
but I do
for
want to
us.
say thank you to anybody that listens. I hope that people actually see intro and listen to this one.
I hope so too,
Um,
and aren't just
um,
confused the entire
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we won't reintroduce it. We have had a few test listeners, and I'm sorry for calling you out because I think you'll know who you are if you listen to this episode, but I'm ignoring your request to introduce ourselves every episode.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, thank you, but we will.
Thank you for
not be
all of
doing
your
that
other
one.
lovely comments.
Yes,
But your one request I'm ignoring.
we had some great feedback, and some feedback that we absolutely have incorporated, and
Yes.
others that we have given some thought and said no, better not, and some that we just completely shut down immediately, like that one. So
I think that was the only one.
that was like the only one. We're like, no, we're not talking to anybody ever again. It's just
I can't wait for that text message. This person knows exactly who they are.
Oh,
But yeah, so I'm Melissa.
and I'm Melissa.
I am Babs, formerly known as Melissa.
Right. And I'm Aunt Goose. And this has been our introduction to you and the
That's a thing you know now.
Yeah, that's a thing you know now. What our names
Also,
are.
we are giving you total permission to call it TATYKN.
We love it. I love that it's TATYKN. It is TATYKN. So welcome to TATYKN.
Welcome for
And
the shenanigans. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Just
and
know
you're
I might not
welcome.
say it, but I think it every time.
Yes. Always thankful.
It's
And-
against the rules. I'm sorry.
Wait, what is?
I was going to say I don't make the rules, but I did.
Yeah, we made them. But we're going to follow them. I'll tell you. Okay. I'll tell you that for free. Okay.
They're all for free. All right. Enjoy, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.